time is it? 2 o'clock? Friday? It's not gonna be that crowded. I guess we can go to the gym. What's today? Shoulder day? Oh, man, I don't wanna go to the gym. Pre-workout's actually pretty good. Got my heart rate going pretty fast there. Speaking of fast-paced things, do you guys like working at fast-paced jobs? Do you guys like working in small, tight-knit teams? Do you guys like flexibility on the job? Do you guys want to know what those questions really mean on a job application? Well, welcome to another episode of startups versus corporations versus freelance and entrepreneurship. So we'll talk about the pros and cons of each, why you'd want to work at one but not the other, and what those description questions really mean in practicality on the job. So that's today's episode. Welcome aboard. So when you work at a startup, you need to be okay with wearing a lot of different hats, learning a lot of different skills besides just whatever your title is. For example, if you get hired on as like a back-end software engineer, chances are you might actually have to do some design at some point just because maybe that person's busy or they're out sick and there's just no one to take their place and they give it to you. And you need to be okay with never saying, that's not my job, sorry, I'm not gonna do that. You normally can't do that at a startup. Everyone wears a lot of different hats and does a lot of different things. They're a little bit more flexible with schedule and time and how you work and when you work. And when I worked at a startup, people came in at 10 o'clock and they left at 6 o'clock, or they come in at 11 and leave at 7, or they would come in at 9 and then leave at 1 and work the rest of the day at home, or they would just work at home a couple days a week or for a whole week and then come in the next week. It's very flexible. Another thing with startups are that they have small teams, and because the teams are smaller and the companies are smaller, you end up befriending people in different departments that you wouldn't normally meet or be friends with. So I was friends with the CTO, the graphic design, the CEO, vice president of sales. Like I learned a little bit of each of those, so if I ever needed to use those skills, which I use all those skills now, then I would have somebody to go to and kind of bounce ideas off of if I ever needed to. So it's good to have that kind of well-rounded skill set that you get from having a small team like that. Now this could be a pro or a con depending on how much faith you have in the startup. So some startups offer equity, and what that means is you get a percentage of the company. Normally it's locked behind time. You'd get 1% after 1 year or something like that. It's usually based on time working there fully vests you into that equity. But this only matters if you think the company's going to do well and they don't run out of money and they go public, or someone buys it out. Pluralsight recently went public, so sure, a bunch of people there made a bunch of money. Long hours, this can be a con. You work a lot of long hours and there's a lot of strict deadlines, because if you don't make that deadline, investors aren't going to give you more money, you're not going to make that product launch. So there's a lot of nights, weekends. Coding at the startup can become your life. And even if the description says we have a strict work-life balance, we like our people to have fun, and what I've noticed is that, yeah, we have a Wii and we have an Xbox and you can play this at lunch. No one ever does that. No one ever plays the Wii or the Xbox at lunch because no one wants to be seen as the guy slacking. So on the description of the job application, when you're reading it, you're like, wow, cool, and you see in your head a bunch of dudes playing Smash on the Switch at lunchtime, and maybe some do, but in my experience of working at startups, no one ever wanted to do it because you were going to be seen as he's the guy who always takes lunch and goes and plays, rather than eating his food at his desk and continue working. It's a little bit of a catch-22 there. They lack benefits. In my experience at a startup, they couldn't pay benefits. They would instead give you a stipend of an extra $100 or $200 every month or something like that. That was supposed to go towards your healthcare or dental stuff, and they'd give you a gym membership, but basically you had no benefits. If you work at a startup and you don't have access to the doomsday clock, and the doomsday clock is when the money runs out and no one has a job, and that's it, startup dies, it's over. Startup has failed. So doomsday clock, if you don't have access to that, make sure you do have access to a doomsday clock. The one that I worked at did, and it was always we have 8 months of money left before, but we're gonna try to make it into a Series A in the next 2 months, and then a Series B or something like that. So the whole point is to just continuously raise your evaluation so you can get that next seed round. And so next up, let's talk about corporations and why you want to work for them. Pros of corporations. This was a really tough one for me because if you don't know me, I'm not a big fan of working at large corporations because I had bad experiences. But I made some pros, despite my own personal opinion. Work-life balance. You can keep your head down, get your job done. When you leave, work at the door at 5 o'clock, 9 to 5, come in, do your work, and then leave your work. You can overwork at any job, but from my experience, it's just kind of like come in, do your job, when you leave, that's it. So another thing about corporations, large companies, are that they're good for honing a niche skill set. So if you get hired as a front-end React developer, you're going to get really good at React. And if someone comes to you and says, hey, Josh, can you do this graphic design? You could be like, sorry, please go check with the design marketing department team, whoever. You could just brush stuff off because that's not your job, and it doesn't have to be your job because there's probably like 3 other teams that do that thing. You do your job, your specific skill set, you get really good at it, but if you want to kind of well-round, move laterally between different teams, there's probably an application process. Even if you want to move internally, it's got to get approved by like 9 different people, whereas at a startup you're just like, hey, can I try that out? And they'll be like, oh, you have time for it? Yeah, just finish that thing. Yeah, take a go. See what you can do. Come back. That doesn't happen at companies and corporations. Compensation and comprehensive benefits. Most large corporations at least offer some form of benefits, healthcare, dental insurance, vision, life insurance, extends to your kids. Some companies, I had a company that even paid the premium, so it was basically free. I just go to the doctor and pay my copay. I didn't even have to pay for the insurance. Companies do that. Startups can't usually afford to do that. That's why you see a bunch of young guys, single guys, they'll sleep at work. It's not a big deal. People at larger companies are more of like career men. They got family, they got kids, they can't be taking these risks. They don't have time to take that leap. They want that safe, secure job. Corporations, companies are the way to go. Is it going to be as fulfilling? That's what we'll talk about next. So work that might not matter. With such a large amount of people, it's easy to just feel like employee number 3,421. And if you went to work that day or you didn't go to work that day, the company would operate just fine. It would progress towards its profit goals next quarter, next year, whatever, even if you weren't there. It wouldn't matter. You're just a cog in the machine. Some people like that. I go there, I do my job, I'm a cog in the machine, and then I go home and that's it, right? But like some people want to matter. Some people want to do work that they see that gets put out there. Yeah, you develop skills, great skills, but it's not fulfilling. Ideas are more easily ignored at corporations unless, I'm talking like 500 to like a few thousand people here, not small companies where you have one boss and then there's probably someone out there that's like, yeah, my boss is great, he would always listen to me. I'm sure that's the case. I'm sure that exists. There's a lot of companies where if you have an idea, I've worked at this company, where you have an idea, yeah, I'll pass it to my boss, and your boss passes it to his boss, and his boss passes it to his boss, and he writes it down on a little sticky note on his desk and sticks it there only to be forgotten in the 9 million other things that he has to do. Okay, so my personal preference out of all 3, freelance and entrepreneurship. We'll talk about the pros first, right? Number 1, unlimited earning potential. You get paid on results, not time spent. I'm a big fan of the more I work, the better work I do is a direct result of compensation, more or less. If I mess up, I get paid less. If I do better, I get paid more. It's all about the end result to me. It's about the action that matters, and I'm not a big believer of being at work for 8 hours in your chair means productivity. That's just not the case. It doesn't matter how many hours worked, it just doesn't directly correlate to productivity. Number 2, you get to build your brand. No one can take away your brand. As a freelancer, as an entrepreneur, if people know you as a good developer, as a good salesman, as a good whatever it is, whatever job you just created to be an entrepreneur, no one can take that away from you unless you do something huge, this disaster PR move, and everyone suddenly hates you and you just destroy your reputation and you do it to yourself. Otherwise, no one can take it away from you. Company can fire you, they can't take it from you. People know your name already. The more people that know your name, the better off you are. You can't go remove your name from people's memories. That's just not how it works. No one can take your brand from you, and that is job security. You know, as long as you're doing good work. Kind of touched on this earlier. You have the ability to sell products rather than take a salary or accept an hourly wage. You can be a freelancer and negotiate with a client. This is the flat fee for this project, and if you get that project done in 1 week, you just made a bunch of money in 1 week. If you get that project done in 3 weeks, and it's late, well, that's totally on you, and they don't have to pay you more money because you're hourly. And so I think kind of hourly can end up destroying trust, really, because clients are going to think that you're working slow because you want more money, unless you like have this amazing trust with them. But for new clients, if you mess up, you end up becoming late and you're hourly. Well, are you really late, or are you just billing us more hours? If I do it faster, I get this money. If I do it slower, it's on me. I still get this money. You can also build things that sell themselves. For example, I sell the resume and cover letters. You can go check those out on my website, right? That's a product that I sell. Those sell when I'm asleep. They sell when I'm doing these videos. It's kind of like passive income, but you have to kind of, you got to learn the skill of sales. You have to learn other skills, but you can sell a product rather than just, here's my salary, I work 100 hours, you still get the same salary. Here's my salary, you work 20 hours, you still get the same salary. So salary is great. If you want to do the bare minimum and you get your money, then you can do the bare minimum and get your money. But for people like me and other people out there that like to work hard and get rewarded for it, I just don't think it's very fair. If I work 120 hours one week, if I'm up all night, if I'm working weekends all day doing nothing fun, I want compensation for it. I don't want like, here's a $25 McDonald's gift card, And I know some companies offer profit sharing and bonuses, but it's just not the same thing to me. Flexibility in when you work, how you work, and who you work for. So if you're a freelancer and you choose to take on a client, you can fire that client. You don't have to work for anyone. You can go work on a beach in Thailand. You can work remote. No one tells you what to do. Now this is a little bit of a catch-22. You can either not be motivated, not be self-motivated. Sometimes I'm not self-motivated to do these videos. This is my full-time thing. No one's making me do this video. It's a Saturday afternoon at 3:54 p.m. and I'm filming videos, and I was editing before this and researching and all that stuff. Self-motivation is a huge part of it. You have to have that drive, you have to have that hunger, you have to always want to be better. If you know that when you quit your job to do this, you're probably just going to play WoW all day, you should probably not do this. You kind of have to develop this outside of work. You have to be working on something when no one's making you work, and then you have to solidify that as who you are to be able to do this. In return, you can do this whenever, wherever. It's your job to budget your money, your job to make more money, your job to take a vacation. It's all on you. Total ownership. And so I'm a huge fan of that. So let's talk about some of the cons. Some stuff that I don't normally talk about because no one cares about the problems. But here are some of the cons that you can kind of get into. So work comes with you, right? I work at home, I live at home, I play at home. It's just here, right? I know that there are some techniques where you can kind of separate yourself if you're working remote. You can kind of make an office just for work and just do work, whereas if you mix, I play games on my computer and I edit videos and do work on my computer and teach code on my computer, it can be this mix. Work comes with you wherever you're at. If someone's having a problem, if someone can't buy your thing, if someone has a payment issue, they want a refund and you're at the gym, it doesn't matter. Work is now at the gym. If you're at a family dinner and some shit goes down, suddenly you're at work at a family dinner. That's just how it is. If you need to go to a family dinner, you need to go here or there, but you also need to get work done. I'm sorry, that's just how it is. You have to deal with that. You have to figure that out yourself. So work comes with you wherever it is. Now you can take breaks from work. You can put work off, but it's just up to you. It usually comes with you. I don't mind it. I try to make my life into a life that I don't need to take a vacation from, so that way I don't get burnout. And then there's CTFO before you BTFO. There's no benefits. No one's providing healthcare, dental insurance, life insurance, none of that, right? You have to provide that for yourself. There's no salary that I can depend on. There's nothing secure about the compensation that I make. It goes up, it goes down, and you just keep hoping that you do better work so that it goes up, and you keep growing your company, your brand, whatever. But there's no benefits, there's nothing guaranteed to me ever. If you're a freelancer, clients don't always pay. You have to go invoice those clients and you have to say, hey, where's my money? Some clients are like, oh, this isn't what we expected, we're not paying you. And you were betting on the fact that you could pay your rent from what they were gonna pay you, for what you've been working on for them for the past 2 weeks. And suddenly they're like, yeah, we're not paying you until you fix this thing. And you're like, that thing's gonna take me another 3 weeks just to do that one thing. It's longer than the whole project. They're gonna be like, well, we're not paying you until you do that. And so you could, I guess, maybe if you sign a contract, you take them to court, but by the time all that is said and done, you still have rent to pay, right? So clients don't always pay, and clients don't always commit. Let's say you're working on a project, you have another client lined up, That doesn't mean that client's gonna, guarantee, yeah, sounds good, we'll meet next month. Next month rolls around, you go give them a call, send them an email, follow up with them. But you said that we were gonna have a thing, right? We were gonna do this, right? And then they're like, oh, actually we found someone else in the meantime, blah, blah, blah. Someone's gonna do it cheaper, someone's gonna do XYZ better, or we prefer them, we know a guy. Clients don't always commit to you. The whole time you're working on a project, you should have another client in mind down the road, because who are you gonna work for next? What are you gonna work on next? What's gonna be your next income source? But you should always have multiple income sources as an entrepreneur, as a freelancer anyways. You should have products, you should have clients, you should have recurring revenue of some sort, multiple streams of income at all times, so you don't have to be from one client to the next. And if you can't get another one, or suddenly their fiscal quarter ran out of money for this project and that was what you were gonna work on next to pay your mortgage, sorry. Out of all three of those, I take freelance and entrepreneurship because I am a big believer in total ownership, self-sufficiency. No one can take the money away from me, but it's my job to go get it. There's no security in it, but it's my job to create it. So that's my take on freelance, startups, and corporations. Your situation, family, kids, monetary needs, financial needs are different. Each one of you are different. So if you're new to the industry, maybe this video has helped give you some insight as to what could happen. I'm sure you guys working at large corporations can understand how that can be frustrating, but there's a reason why so many people work at those companies. Same for startups, same for people that do their own thing. And I hope this video has been helpful. If it has, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think the pros and cons are. I'd be interested in hearing. I tried to make a pretty thorough list, and I'll see you guys in the next video.